War 6 of Season 50. We're finally at the midway point of this season, and the banned attackers are Corvus, CGR, Hulkling, Red Magneto, and Mole Man. So Hulkling and Red Magneto being non-tactic bans, which is very interesting, but also, at least Magneto I know for sure is a validated ban. I'm not so sure about Hulkling, but definitely very interesting bans, and again, for me, when all the cosmics get banned, Vox still doesn't, so I can just use Vox to destroy a bunch of the tactic techs, and you're going to see a lot of that today. But one thing I want to focus on for this video is going to be Kindred, and Kindred is going to get 2 fights this war, which is less than Tigra's 3 and Vox's 3. However, these 2 fights that I take with him, I'm really proud of, because I see people bash on Kindred being a bad attacker all the time. And I get that because he's not very fast, but at the same time, I'd stand by the fact that you don't have to be fast to be a good attacker. If you have kit abilities that allow you to be a good war attacker with utilities and immunities, you can make work in a lot of different war scenarios. And since I'm a tier 1 war player and planner, I value that very much. So Kindred being both Incinerate and Poison Immune is pretty crazy, and also his Atrophy is one of the best buff control abilities in the game that he does not get credit given for, because if you have 3 of those, which is not necessarily difficult to have, you reduce buff duration by an entire 90%. Like you saw when I baited that Gladiator's SP1, after it finished its pause, it went away pretty much immediately because Atrophy controlled it just like that, so I didn't have to wait out the Unstoppable at all. So Kindred, again, Poison and Incinerate immune, allowing me to take Path 9 Section 1 like this. I also did fact check it. There are only 2 Mystics in the entire game who can ignore both Poison and Incinerate at the exact same time, and that is Kindred and Mephisto, and 3 if you count Absorbing Man with the Abomination synergy, but otherwise it's only Kindred and Mephisto who can be Mystic and ignore Incinerate and Poison at the exact same time, which means that whenever a Cosmic is on a Hazard Shift node, and Kindred is probably the best option for said Cosmic because he can completely ignore Hazard Shift, as long as it's a Cosmic Defender, so that's really solid right there. And next fight we're taking is this Guillotine 2099 with Vox on node 18. And Vox is immune to Poison, so I want to play aggressive during that phase and then chill out during the Incinerate one. The fight's going to go down relatively fast at this point, but I do want to chill a little bit during the Incinerate phase. But at this point I can just let the degens ticker out because, you know, they hit really hard, and they hit harder the more seconds they expend on the opponent, so it makes it really easy for him. So next up is probably the most straightforward fight this war, and that's going to be Tigra versus this Absorbing Man on node 19. Despair with Tigra's Rupturous will make it to where the node literally doesn't matter, so it's just a Tigra versus Absorbing Man fight, which I am very well practiced on and can do very well. So this is pretty much a nothing fight. I just need to throw my SP2 without him in the Uru form, because I don't want him to have the physical resistance. So I just drop the SP2, it does a crap ton of damage, and then we can just do like a heavy attack into an SP1 if we even need that to finish him off, or just an SP1. So that Abs Man goes down in just over 30 seconds, and I only have 1 more path fight this war. However, this is a very interesting path fight. So last war I mentioned how you can use Vox on Buffet as long as you're careful. I was fighting a Penny Parker on that node. This is a rank 3 Mysterio on that node, which is much more scary, because Mysterio is a much better defender than Penny in the Clarity tactic, because Penny's main threat on defense gets completely negated by Clarity. Mysterio's big threats on defense still exist, being his damage reflect and his miss mechanics, so meaning that I can do this fight just like I did against Penny. However, it's going to be difficult just because Mysterio is more difficult. Basically, how you take Vox on Buffet is you intentionally dex whenever Buffet is off cooldown, and that will nullify your precision. The reason you need to nullify your precision is because Vox will self-inflict damage if any of his corrupted buffs get nullified. However, Dex will not be a corrupted buff until it expires, meaning that if you trigger Dex while Buffet is off cooldown, it will consume the Dex buff and hence not consume a corrupted buff, meaning you do not take the damage. So you just need to be very cautious on when you trigger any attack, because it needs to be when Dex is able to get consumed first and not a corrupted buff. Otherwise, we are just going to bash this Mysterio at this point. It's a rank 3 Mysterio, and I can't play necessarily too aggressively to ramp up my Furies while the degens are ticking, so I can't really kill him in one cycle, which is unfortunate. And I'm going to eat a bit of my indestructible boost, but that's okay. He's at low health, and while he does have a lot of healing on this node, we don't need too many degens to finish him off, so at one point in the fight, I'm just going to start to full send it, and I'm pretty sure that point is very soon, to where I don't even care about taking buffet damage at this point. I just need to ramp up some Furies and get him to die. So, again, this is not a fight I would ever assign someone other than myself, because you have to be extremely cautious in this fight. And I trust myself enough to do it, but also it's not a fight that I really want to take. It's just something I know I can do, so I'm gonna be doing it. Alright, so now we move into the minis, and the first mini we're fighting is Thing on node 37. This is a placement I'm extremely used to, because I used Tigra for this fight basically the entire season of Crush 2.0, and it was a really easy thing to get the hang of. It is a little bit different without Crush 2.0, because in a way, Crush 2.0 was actually helping you by rooting you during his special attacks, because that meant you got to keep Thing at the corner more often. But you don't have that benefit for this season, because obviously Crush 2.0 isn't around anymore. But the fight itself is still just as straightforward. It's you control his regens with your Neutralize, and you control his Unstoppable with your Neutralize, and he just dies. So we're going to bait a special 2 or not. We're just going to kill him instead. He triggers protection, but my SP1 will kill him right after. So again, fight I was very used to, so it went down pretty easily. And next up, we're going to fight Maestro on node 44. Last war, I took Serpent on this same node. And this is supposed to go even easier, because Kindred is literally designed to hard counter Maestro. Like, there are 4 reasons why, or 5 technically, that Kindred is actually crazy for this fight. First being plain and simple, he's immune to both Poison and Incinerate. Second being Atrophy makes his buffs expire extremely fast, just like they did against the Gladiator with his Unstoppable and stuff. And then the next 3 are abilities that are specifically in Maestro's kit. Like, firstly, during Maestro's Superior Rage, his Neutronium expires 50% faster, and secondly, his special attacks cannot root me if he's suffering from Atrophy, and thirdly, the Radiation buff from Maestro's kit does 50% less damage. So there's just so many things in this fight that just make this a good matchup for Kindred, and it's just partly because of the fact that Maestro gets countered by Atrophy, and the only person in the entire game with Atrophy at the moment is Kindred. So he's literally designed to counter this fight, and I can't think of anyone who comes close to being as good a counter for this Maestro on this specific node than Kindred. I've even taken Maestro on node 49 before with Kindred. He just destroys Maestro. Again, literally designed to hard counter him. I don't want to hear any arguments saying there are better options for Maestro on this specific node, because there plain and simple isn't. Because there's like nothing that makes this difficult because of how well Kindred counters Maestro here. Like, you're gonna see, he's gonna die before he even goes into Superior Rage. It's completely ridiculous. Kindred, so good for war sometimes. Absolutely love the guy. And yeah, that's my last Kindred fight this war, but we do have 2 very, very interesting fights left. So we're going to start with Shocker on node 47, a fight that I was worried about the most probably this war, because it's a rank 3 Shocker, and he hits very hard, and I don't really have too many opportunities to weave in a way to stop the falter from triggering on me from the node, because of the fact that he reduces stun duration. So I do have a white max pre-fight, meaning I can parry heavy, so that's useful, but I do need to worry about the unblockable, and I do need to worry about countering his SP1. So there's only one way you can counter Shocker's SP1, and that is if he throws it and you are literally right next to him when he throws it. Otherwise, you're going to be too slow on the counter and risk getting parried. There, I should not have dashed in. That could have gotten me parried. I'm lucky that he went for another SP1 right after, because that could have been very bad. But anyway, we have 28 buffs, so that means 28 degens, and they're going to tick very hard. And I'm going to forget that he goes unblockable there. Indestructible boost caught some of it, so we're okay. But I need to ramp some Furies now. I need to get those degens ticking harder. And at this point, I just need him to charge a heavy attack right here. We throw the SP1, locks in the degens, and he dies. So that fight went way better than I expected it to. Vox is just too good. So last up, we're going to fight Onslaught on node 49. And I made this a solo video yesterday, and I also included in that video the last time I took this fight, where it took just about triple the amount of time to take him down. I got really lucky with the AI in this one, to where he's going to go down in 28 seconds. This is a rank 3 Onslaught that's just not going to make it very far, because we use a Power Start 1 boost, we throw 3 heavy attacks, and he's dead. That's literally all you have to do, assuming you get the AI that I did, which, again, you probably won't most of the time, because, again, I got lucky. But, again, in yesterday's video, I did put the attempt where I didn't get the crazy AI, so you can see that this fight still works really well, even with bad AI. So, yeah, the fight's already over, and 28-second rank 3 Onslaught fight on a boss island node, which... Dude, Tigra is just so good. I'm so glad to have her back for a war attack when she just wasn't very good last season because of Cosmic Defenders that she couldn't take because of the tactics. So we did win the war, meaning we are 5-1 and in Masters right now, which is very nice. I don't think we've ever placed Masters before, so it's very nice to be there. We just need to actually hold on to it. And hopefully we can do that and finish the season very well. But again, we're at the midpoint with the 5-1 record, which is really nice. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.